Peace, family. Today's spiritual lesson is on lifetimes. This is just to answer a question. My son had this question the other day, so I cleared it up for him. So his question was that, when it comes to trying to transcend, trying to ascend, right? It's not necessarily. It's kind of a question, kind of like it's an idea in his head. He was like, he felt like, well, the more lifetimes that we live, the harder, the more difficult it is to ascend or to transcend. That was his belief, or that was his hypothesis, right, or theory, that the more lifetimes we live, the harder it is to ascend, to transcend. So I thought about it for a second, and what I told him is that answer is both correct and incorrect depending on what perspective. Like most things in life, the answer is usually both correct and incorrect. And the way that works is that in any particular lifetime that you are aware of, or that you're in, that you're existing in, that you're conscious in that lifetime, well, life works in waves, right? So you have waves when you're up, waves when you're down, right? So life works in, existence works in waves. So there are certain parts of the wave, the closer you are to the center, right, the more aware you are, the more likely you are to transcend or to ascend, because the more you are connected to self. That being the case, there are certain lifetimes that we exist in where we are very much aware and we are very conscious. We're consciously awake. In those particular lifetimes, it is easier to transcend or to ascend. And then there's certain other lifetimes where it is we have little awareness, if any awareness, very little consciousness, if any consciousness. And in those lifetimes, it is very unlikely that we will ascend or transcend. So that being said, for those who are in the lifetime right now where they are completely unaware, in future lifetimes, it's only up from here. So in the future lifetime, it'll be easier for them to transcend or ascend because they'll be more aware. This is something that just naturally happens. It just naturally happens where certain existences you're more aware, certain existences you're less aware for whatever reason, right? And then for those who are aware now, or who are super aware, super conscious, right? There's a chance that they might be less aware in the next lifetime. So it can actually, depending on where you're at already, if you're already very aware and you don't transcend in that awareness, you may actually go down in awareness and consciousness in the next lifetime, and it may be harder to ascend and transcend. Versus someone who's not aware at all, they may be more aware in the next lifetime, and it might be easier. So understand, lifetime awareness, it's kind of like a lottery in a sense, but I don't think it's probably as difficult as a lottery. But each lifetime, you don't know when the circumstances are going to be in your favor to where you're going to have a decent amount of consciousness and awareness of self, right? Maybe it's like a 50-50 chance, I don't know. But in those cases where you are aware and you are conscious, it is important then to not put it off and say, well, it's okay, I have time, maybe the next lifetime, maybe the lifetime after that, right? You never know. That next lifetime might not be what it is that you're hoping for. Now, at the same time, there's a show called The Midnight Gospel, I think. It's like a little cartoon on Netflix. Let me make sure that's the actual name. It's called The Midnight Gospel. And I think it's episode 3, where they talk about magic and they talk about enlightenment and consciously, evolving and transcending. And what they explained was that when you're using magic type of knowledge, like voodoo, hoodoo, Freemasonry, witchcraft, shamanism, Ifa, those type of things, those type of processes, those type of works is like the fast track to enlightenment, the fast track to transcendence. So where it's possible to get it in the one lifetime. Versus the other versions of like Buddhism or Hinduism, right? Or being like a monk, those are meant to help your process through many lifetimes to try to reach ascendance and transcendence. So even if you don't transcend or ascend in this particular lifetime, if you put in the proper work and take the proper steps, it is possible to where you can maintain your awareness, or at least a certain amount of your awareness, to go into the next lifetime to help speed it up, the process a little bit faster each time you come back, each time you reincarnate. But for those who are maybe kind of hesitant about the witchcraft type stuff, the magic type stuff, the ritualistic type of stuff, do understand that yes, though it does have its challenges and does have its hiccups and its things you want to be wary of. At the same time, right, nothing great comes without risk. At the same time, going through that route, that shamanistic type of route, is the fastest track to ascendance and to transcendence. So that is today's spiritual lesson. We'll go into Q&A if there's any questions. Probably won't be a whole lot of questions since we lost a lot of people on YouTube. Let's see. Blindman LT says, if you have any awareness, you can understand what projecting means, and why wouldn't you ever do it? I don't know exactly what you mean by projecting. Like astral projection, is that what you mean? Is that what you're talking about? Let's see, Seidel. Lior says, can you repeat the last part about the fear of different practices? Yes, well, I was just saying that if you are, for those who may be afraid of the voodoo, hoodoo, the ritualistic spell works and stuff like that, to Freemasonry and all those type of things, those who may be hesitant about those do understand that yes, they do have the challenges. Yes, they can sometimes. They can be have their dangers to them. That is a real thing. But at the same time, you can't achieve anything great without there being some sort of a risk, right? So, that being the case, those riskier practices, unlike Buddhism and Hinduism, those riskier practices do have a greater reward. They do speed up the spiritual evolution process, making it more likely for you to fully ascend, fully wake up in this particular lifetime. Ashe. And they did say something interesting in the show. They talked about there being 2 deaths, right? The death of the physical body, but also the death of the spiritual body. And in order to ascend and maintain one's consciousness and soul connection, you must activate, they said, your solar body, which to me just means your soul, right? It just means that because right now in this body, though the body, yes, has a soul, all bodies have a soul. What's running the body most consciously is a fraction of the soul, just what you call the spirit. So a fraction of light, what you call the spirit. The idea is to, as this particular fraction of light, any one of your spirit bodies that inhabit this planet within this moment or in any other lifetime has the ability to be the one to pull in the full manifestation of your soul into this realm. Right? Yeah. Now, when you do this, in a sense, it will destroy your physical body, and in a sense, it will destroy your spiritual body. And then, but you will still look like what will be a body, but it'll just be a pure light body, which will be your soul body, right? But in order to do that, you must be able to bring your soul fully into this dimension. See, the soul does not live in this dimension, right? The portal between our soul and this body is the chakras. So each chakra is a specter, I think that's the right word, of light that's coming from the soul. So the soul's coming through, projecting through whatever prism, right? And it's splitting off to these, well, it's really more than 7, but we'll just say the 7 main chakras. So we got that energy flowing into each chakra. That's all soul energy. You know, the soul there's vortexes, right? And so since these vortexes are connected directly to the soul, right, that's how you would pull your soul into being, through the chakras. And essentially you'd have to make all the chakras, by pulling the soul in completely, you end up making all the chakras one chakra, and then that would then get rid of your physical and spirit body and just make it a soul body. Ashe. Kong No Pause says, amazing show, very spiritual. Ashe, Kong No Pause. Ashe. So, give y'all a minute or two just to see if you have any more questions, comments, or concerns. Ashe. Go ahead and throw them in the chat. If not, we can always reconvene tomorrow. Leor says, Ashe, you deserve an award. Seriously. That was explained well. Thank you. Ashe, Leor. Ashe. I appreciate that. I'm happy that it was digestible. Right. That it's definitely rewarding enough there, and that says a lot, to my own growth and development, because if one cannot explain something that's seemingly complex to where somebody does not truly cannot understand it, cannot digest it right away, then that says more than likely that person doesn't really understand it. And it's easy to fake like you understand the spiritual concepts. When you start explaining it, if it's not clear, then it's very simple to recognize if someone really knows what they're talking about. Rafiki says, I sent a love offering in for a carpool from Ashe Graffiti. Ashe, let me see. Okay, I see it right here. I see the carpool there. Live carpool. The Orisha message, Ashe. Ashe. I feel like I'm gonna do a Orisha message. I think I'm gonna need my Orisha cards. They're kind of like they're Orisha cards / indigenous cards. So if Dublé could grab them, I think they're on my nightstand. It's been a minute since I've used them. They just...
It is an Orisha deck. The one on the far left. Just in case you want to use it.
Oh, sure. Get my cards on the nightstand. Let's see. Let's see. Paxton. What's Paxton talking about? You're on an ego trip. Well, we're all on an ego trip. So I have to agree with that. You should be ashamed of yourself. You know, sometimes I feel shame. Sometimes I do. I think we all feel that at some moments. Should I feel ashamed? I don't know about that one. Should we feel ashamed? Ego is from the devil. Get rid of your ego. Well, that's not true, because the devil doesn't give people egos. God gives you an ego, right? You know, God gave the angels and the demons egos. God gives everyone, the source being gives us all egos. The ego is a awareness of oneself being separate from others, right? See, Paxton, it's very apparent that you see yourself as a separate being from God or Jesus or whatever. I'm pretty sure you don't see yourself as God, right? So you have a separation, therefore you have an ego. You have an ego, right? That says, I am a separate being. So, I guess maybe you're one of the devil's helpers. I don't know. One of Satan's helpers. I don't know. I don't know how you look at life. So you need to humble yourself. What makes me unhumble? You do. You need to stop playing with God. Ashe to Lior. When was the last time you talked to your mom? I spoke with her yesterday, actually. I saw her yesterday, so that'll be the last time. I just, okay, Eric Woods. How much drugs have you taken? I haven't taken any drugs. Well, I did take some supplements today. I don't know if you consider that a drug, but Ashe. So Robert Jenkins says, you have 8 people watching your Rubish Fairy Tales, and I appreciate you, Robert, for being one of the 8. Or maybe you're the 9th, because there's a 9 up there, which is divine, the divine 9. I appreciate, Robert, you are the divine 9th person. Ashe. Appreciate it. And the LOLs are in Ashe. So we'll go ahead and, they said, what does it say in the Bible? Be faithful over few. Right? Be faithful over the few that are in this room. I was a motivational speaker in my mid-20s. And I did that for a few years. I'm a little bit more than a few years, but it was there for a little while. And one thing I learned about speaking is that, imagine if you were mentoring somebody, you're trying to motivate them, you're trying to inspire them. You would not then say, well, you're only one person. So I'm not going to spend time trying to inspire you, trying to motivate you, trying to enlighten you, trying to fill you up, with powerful, ambitious, or life-changing, energy, right? You wouldn't say that. Like you would say, I'm going to give it everything I got with this one person to give them the best version of me so that they can, become the best version of themselves. But just like if you're a motivational speaker, you have a large group of people in an auditorium. You wouldn't say, well, there's too many people here. I need it only be one or two people. I need just a small number of people. Like, no, you say, I'm going to give the best version of me to these 100, 200, 1,000 people in the crowd. Right? So, that's how I've learned to navigate through life. Whether it's one person, whether it's 8 or 9 people, whether it's 100 people, whether it's 1,000, right? I always find that it's best to speak to them as if they're the most important person on the planet that needs this information, needs this knowledge, that needs these words, because if they get these words, the whole world could change. Or it's the biggest venue of my life, right? With the biggest crowd I've ever, witnessed. I go about them both the same way. It's just like when I'm training with my son. All right, we're training for whatever sport that we're training for. I notice a lot of times when we go to the basketball court, most people show up to the court in Crocs, especially the youth. But even some of the people, the men and who are around my age or even older, they show up in Crocs. Sometimes that's all they got is the Crocs. And, I point this out to my son saying, see, I understand I was an athlete for quite a long time. You have your flops on, but you always at least have your sneakers, or your cleats or something, right? Always ready to put them on when it's time to perform. Why? Because it's not about this moment in and of itself. It's not the fact, okay, this isn't a real game, or this isn't an NBA game, or this isn't, a performance where people are going to be judging or watching or keeping score, right? That's not the point. The point is that you always want to be in a mindset to prepare for the big moments. You always want to prepare for the big moments. But most people do not prepare for the big moments. So when there's an opportunity for such big moments, they either don't take it or they do and they fail horribly, right? So no matter the amount of people that are in the room, I'm always going to go about it as if there are hundreds of thousands of people on the stream. As I like to tell the children, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I like to always be prepared for the big moments, when it's my time to speak, when it's my time to be at the front of the podium, when it's my time to perform. I have been practicing, I have been going about it each day as if this was the most important training session, the most important live session, the most important, pickup basketball game, the most important speech, the most whatever it is. Not sure. So that's just how I like to do things. Michael Ellis says we have to learn to be alone and love ourselves before we can love someone else. Some weapons of mass destruction: faith, love, good communication skills, no fear, and patience. Ashe. I'm gonna talk. That's something interesting to talk about as well, as far as the you have to learn to be alone. That's something that's interesting. Number 4, MK says that's actually good mentality. Ashe. The hearts goes out to Misty Branch. What sports did you play? Mostly football. You know, I did some track, I did some basketball, but I was a football player all the way through college. Michael Ellis, walk by 5D and not by 3D. Walk by faith, not by sight. Ashe. You're a deep brother, right on. Ashe. Number 4. Lior says you need the foundation to excel in every aspect. Ashe. We do need foundations, right? We do need a foundation. But I do want to respond to Ellis about needing to be alone. But let me pull a couple cards though. Masterpiece, Empress, are you pulling cards? Yeah, you know, for running back, halfback, I was a halfback. Just be one. I was a halfback. Yeah, I wasn't quite big enough to be a fullback. Fullbacks, you know, though I had a little size to me. You know, fullbacks are usually about closer to at least about 230 at minimum. A good size fullback's like 250, right? Even though I got close at some point, the heaviest I ever weighed was 220, right? But I usually averaged around 205, 210 when I was playing. Ashe. But yeah, let's see what the Orishas have to say, Graffiti, before I go into the whole do we need to be alone aspect. Ashe. Okay. Actually, you know what? I need my if Miss Dublé, if you could bring me my Behind the Couch, the black cartomancy book. If you can bring me that would be great. Because on there they have, then they say I have the indigenous names on here. This is Wak, right? But then there's like the Ifa name as well. For a lot of these cards have an Ifa name, and I don't remember what the Ifa name is for Wak. Sure. But as far as do we need to be alone to love ourselves, I would have to disagree with that aspect. And the reason why is because you're not born alone. You're not born alone. You're born as a baby, as an infant, and you learn love. You're supposed to learn love through your family. Just like every living creature, except for some reptiles. Right? But you learn love through your family, through your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, brothers, and sisters. Right? That's where you're supposed to learn love. And then therefore, through that love, you learn how to love yourself. Just the black book.
Oh, okay.
That's where you learn that's when you're able to see, you're supposed to get filled up with love from your family. And when you get filled up with love, you are then able to love yourself, right? So that's that process. But there's a lot of us adults now here in the Western world, especially here in America, who lack love for different reasons. And so we're trying to find that love, and we're trying to find and see, we're all reflections and projections of each other. So the fact that we're living in, a lot of us are moving around and living and traveling and changing locations, and there's nothing but strangers all around us. We have to just learn how to get in the mix with, in a new location all the time. And there's no love that can really be there because we don't know each other. We don't grow up and stay in the same neighborhoods and areas like we used to anymore. So it then forces us to say, okay, well, we got to learn how to love ourselves, be by ourselves and love ourselves. And that's a survival tactic. It sounds good, but and in a sense, you kind of have to do that nowadays. But you only have to do it nowadays, not because you're supposed to do it that way. We're doing it out of survival. We are doing it out of survival. So though we are forced to do it that way, that doesn't always mean just because that's the only one of the few options we have at this point, doesn't mean that that's supposed to be the option. That's just us learning to adapt. That's just learning to adapt. Mass Peace Empress says, I'm ready, Ashe. Right. So I had pulled, let's see, Wak. I wanted to see who Wak is, because I don't remember who Wak is. Wak is an indigenous name. Right. So Wak would be Yemiya. So Yemiya is speaking to us. Ashe. Yemiya is speaking to us. Ashe. So let's ask. So we have Yemiya on the. So even though Blake says she has some Orisha cards already up here, I don't know exactly how they're constructed, but these cards that I have here are more closely connected to the original energies of the Orishas, with some of their more original names, because basically Wak is older than Yemiya, right? So that being said, it's a closer connection to those actual ancestors. So that's why I wanted to pull those cards out, versus the other Orisha cards are more commercially connected to it. So it's a younger energy, it's a younger version of those Orishas, versus these are more on the ancient side. So let's see what we'll use the other cards to help assist us here. What does Yemiya, where are my other cards at? What does Yemiya want us, what's the message that Yemiya wants to give? Michael Ellis says, well said, alone, because other people and places and things can distract you from your purpose. Well, here's the thing about, okay, so I do want to address this too. Because Michael, says, makes a very good point. Well said, alone, because other people and places and things can distract you from your purpose. Well, think about that word purpose. I don't know what Michael's purpose is, but essentially when everybody talks about purpose, it's always in some way. At the end, whenever I hear anyone who's talking about purpose, it's in some way to do what? Help assist, improve the existence of other people in some form of fashion, whether it's through some art form, entertainment, science, educational system, mathematics, financial system, whatever it is, psychology, whatever it is, spirituality, it's always for the case of helping other people. So it's kind of like an oxymoron when you think about it, to say that people and places can distract you from your purpose of finding your place amongst the people and the places. See how I kind of like... Hold on a second. It's getting too hot in here, obviously. So the people and the places is going to distract you from the purpose of affecting the people and the places, right? Now, It's not that Michael doesn't have a point. Yes, the people and places can be distracting. But one, they're not supposed to be distracting. They're actually supposed to be helping you. But two, the reason why the people and places are distracting you is not because that's the nature of people and places. It's distracting you from your purpose because our current what people are calling purposes are really just roles. What people are calling purposes are really just roles. It's like being in a relationship. What's my role? What's my partner's role? It's like, I'm working at a company. What's your role in the company? Right? So everyone's looking for what their role is, which is essentially based off of your birthday. But we all share the same purpose, though. Ultimately, we all have the same purpose. And that purpose is to remember one's true self so that you can become a walking embodiment of your own soul. That's everyone's purpose, is to remember your true self to the point to where you become just a full walking embodiment of your own soul. So that your soul will be pulled out of the dimension that it lingers in, whatever dimension that is. I guess it's probably like in the 11th dimension or something like that. Pull it into this dimension to where we have what looks like a physical body, but really it's just a soul body. Right? So the soul body is trying to come into this dimension. That's everyone's purpose. That's everyone's purpose. That's the purpose of existence. Trying to find a way to exist in these lower dimensional realms as completely as your soul self. But it's other than that, when it comes to whether you do music or whether you're a teacher or whether you're an actor or whether you're a comedian or whether you're an entertainer or whether you're a musician or whether you're a painter or whether you're a sculptor or whether you're a CEO, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a nurse, or whether you're any of these things. Those are just roles. What role am I playing? So people and places, yes, will distract you from, it can be distracting from your purpose, which is to bring the body into this dimension, to bring the soul fully into this dimension. And it can be distracting as far as roles are concerned, but at the same time, you kind of have to find your role through the people and through the places. But it's only distracting because we don't have a cultural system anymore that helps us to find our roles and helps tell us, what ultimately all of our purpose is. Asha. Leora says, is there a right way to use the cards, or does Barcone with it if used with bad intentions, or does bar come with it, or does something come with it if used with bad intentions? Or does bad come with it? Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, does bad come with it if used for bad intentions? Well, here's the thing. You could use something for good intentions and still get a negative karmic effect. You can use things for bad intentions and get a seemingly good karmic effect. It's not necessarily about the intentions. it's about what laws are you obeying? What universal laws are you obeying? What universal laws are you in alignment with, or out of alignment with, or going against? What is your particular karma? Because if you're going against the grain of your own karma, it can have negative effects. If you're going with the grain of your own karma, it can have very positive effects, right? So it is a little more nuanced than just intentions. For instance, like someone says, Jesus loves you, right? There are those who follow Jesus and have helped commit genocide of millions upon millions of people in the name of God and Jesus. And then there are those who have helped to save the lives of many and helped to bring, enlightenment and inspiration to people's lives using the energy of Jesus and God, right? And then there are those who may have the intentions to do good with the name of Jesus, but then yet they see nothing but struggle in their life. And then there are those who may use Jesus, the name of Jesus, in their own selfish reasons, and all they see is good in their life, right? Because the person with the good intentions may be going against the grain of their own karmic energy, and maybe even against the grain of other people's karmic energy. Versus the person with the bad intentions, if they're going with the grain of their own karmic energy, they will receive good things. If they're going with the karmic energy of the people, meaning that they may be having bad intentions, but they are being honest and putting it out into the open, even if it's in a slick way, a sly way. But they are saying it out loud and the people are accepting it and going along with it. They will only receive good things, right? But then the other person who may be trying to do good for the people, but it's not being forthcoming with all that they're doing and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. And by trying to hide some things, not because they do anything wrong, but because they just feel like, for whatever reason, they should not share everything out in the open, or they feel like people may reject it or something. Even if you have good intentions, but by hiding, you create a universal law friction and barrier, right? So these are some things to think about. Now, as far as what Yemiya piece to be unique, as far as what Yemiya had to say to us, right? Okay, the Queen of Diamonds, go with the Six of Diamonds. Okay. Let's see. I do have the Queen of Diamonds in here as well. Let's see. Syrian Queen. Okay. So as far as Yemiya, she's something that she wants to share about the feminine power, about Mother Nature, about Gaia. Okay. So what is it about Gaia you want to share with us, right? The Titan of Earth. The main female, right? So this is all just divine feminine energy, right? Main female. So Gaia, she is the main feminine energy. Ashe. Why is that important? What is it that we need to understand? The dreamer, hopes, dreams, aspirations, destiny. Are you trying to say that Gaia has dreams. They're saying that, trying to say that we receive our dreams from Gaia. No. Trying to say that we need to connect with Gaia in our dreams, maybe. Not that either. Or saying that Gaia hears our dreams, maybe. No, that she hears our dreams. But even this dreamer has another feminine energy. Or is it that our dreams are not in alignment with Gaia, maybe? No, that's not it. So what is about these dreams and aspirations? Let's see, let's pull. Might as well pull that one. Monitoring spirit. So is Gaia trying to warn us of something? Gaia is trying to warn us. The Queen of Clubs here, right? Now the Queen of Clubs is it's like tied. I would say it's probably the most important card in the deck, the Queen of Clubs. If you were to lay out the deck in order, 7 rows and 7 by 7 rows. That'd be 49, and then you put the last 3 cards at the top. That'd be the crown. In the very middle would be the Queen of Clubs. In the very, very center. That is what the spiritual realm revolves around. The Queen of Clubs, which represents the woman of intuition, of great knowledge and inspiration and motivational speaking, things like that. Pure intuition, though. Peace to Just Be One. Ashe. I see the globes. Ashe. Before I continue, let me just see what Glory to God says. I've had a bad taste in my mouth about church, Ashe, and people who claim they are Christian but didn't follow Jesus, Ashe. When I was in a dark place and cried out to Jesus Christ, God saved me, Ashe. Ashe. Well, I believe, this is my own personal opinion, I believe that the churches are so infected with the dark energies and inconsistent energies because they're Christians. Instead of, I believe that the once people started calling themselves Christians, I believe that's when the church got infiltrated. Or that was the indication that the church was infiltrated, because, the original followers of Jesus weren't Christians. That's not what they call themselves. I don't know if they had any official names, but they were followers, of Jesus, followers of this particular Christ. But they were followers of his teachings, not of him as the being. They were followers of his teaching. And when Christians has become the title, people are following Christianity. They're not following Jesus, or they're not following the Bible or God or Yeshua or Yahweh or whatever, right? They're not following that. They're following this title called Christianity. And because Christianity is something that is kind of just pieced together as a cute way of representing another form, the word Christ, right? You got Christ in the word Christian, right? Christianity, it's like Christ insanity is what it sounds like to me. So maybe that's why the churches are so messed up. Bobby161, bro, why so many read cards these days? Why so many? I mean, you know, it's like, why so many? First of all, actually, very few people read cards. Very, very few. You know, it's like saying, why so many pastors? When you really think about it, very few people are actually pastors. It seems like a lot because the pastors stand out. They stand out more than just regular church people, right? Same thing with tarot readers. Really not. There's very few tarot readers, but they just stand out because it's a unique thing, right? But to answer your question, you know, why are there more tarot readers? I mean, it's just like anything. When things come and go, there were times where there were more tarot readers, and then it kind of dissipated, and then now there's more tarot readers once again. And then at a certain point, it'll dissipate, and then it'll come back strong again. So this is just how, it's just the cycle of all spiritual practices. Right, they become strong at certain points, and they become weak at other points, and then they become, you know, strongly practiced once again, you know. So get rid of the old and make room for the new. See, I don't believe in getting rid of the old. That is actually a very popular way of thinking that that has infected our minds, especially here in America. Get rid of the old, make room for the new. Get rid of your old relationship. Get rid of your old life. Get rid of your old car. Get rid of your old house. Get rid of your old job. Get rid of your old whatever. Get rid of the old. Come in with the new. Get rid of your old body. Get rid of your old hair. Put new hair on top of it. Get rid of your old butt and put a new butt in there. Get rid of your old muscles and put new fake muscles there. Get rid of the old. Get rid of your old clothes and just put some new clothes on. Well, does anyone ever ask, well, what happens to the old? Get rid of your old religion. Get rid of your old spiritual practices. Get rid of your old spiritual concepts. Get rid of your old beliefs. What happens when you get rid of the old? Where does the old go? Well, if we think about trash, I mean, when we throw trash away, where does it go? Into a landfill? Into the ocean? Onto a whole nother island somewhere? It doesn't go away, it just goes away from our sight, but it's still in the background affecting our existence, affecting our planet, affecting Gaia. See, me personally, I don't believe in getting rid of the old. I believe in transforming the old, recycling the old, building on top of the old, evolving the old. See, we tend to get rid of the old. We get rid of what? Old way of thinking, old paradigms, old belief systems, old cultures, old. You end up getting rid of old wisdom, old knowledge, old information, old strategies, old processes that could have been very useful in today's current times. See, you don't replace your ancestors, you stand on the shoulders of your ancestors. You don't get rid of the old. You add on to the old, and some of it you transform. Shabby, that's just my personal outlook on life. There's always room for the new. You don't have to get rid of the old. There's always room for the new. How do I know this? Because in the laws of science, in the laws of the universe, no energy can be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed, which means in order to bring in something new, you don't have to get rid of the old. You merely need to transform it, because you can't really technically get rid of it anyway. You can only just move it to another location. You can't truly get rid of anything. So if you get rid of something, what ends up happening is that you end up realizing like, oh man, I shouldn't have thrown that away later. Or you'll be like, oh, it becomes a nuisance later down the road because you've just been throwing it outside in the backyard. You've just been what? The child takes the toys and just what? Throws them under the bed. You get new toys. A child gets new toys. They don't have to throw away the old ones. Some of them maybe you might give away but you're going to give them away to somebody another child that may actually use them that way. Just become a nuisance because you just threw it out, right? But then some of them you might actually keep. And instead you just find a way to reorganize your room so that you can fit the new ones with the old ones. Ashe. Eli plays, what is that on your wall? I don't know, it's like a bunch of stuff that, whatever my ladies put on the wall there. Elijah Riggs says, he looks like P. Diddy's heterosexual stunt double. I guess that's a compliment, right? I'm the straight version of Diddy. I mean, I guess I can go with that. That's the first time I heard that one. I'll go with it, right? Hi, Gangsta Brazil. Peace to Brazil, Wendell. Dublé says, yes, that was me today looking for black candle wax. I threw out the broken ones and I could use them right now, Ashe. Threw out the broken ones. I think I said something about the broken candles to Miss Dublé before, but you know, who knows? Who knows what I said? Always throwing something with Ashe. It says P. Diddy's umbrella man, Ashe. I think that's Mr. Bentley. You look like the dude on Ridiculousness. I haven't seen Ridiculousness recently, so I don't know who's on there now. I appreciate the super chat there, Misty Branch. Ashe. Ashe to you. Yep, the LMAOs. Who let Diddy out of jail? I think they about to let Diddy out. From what I've heard. Graffiti says my comments on YouTube are definitely not coming through. Yeah, I don't see anything coming from you, Graffiti. I haven't seen anything from you on YouTube here. Leah says he is not getting out. He's not getting out? Okay, maybe he's not getting out. I don't know. It seemed like from what, I don't know. I really don't even know what they're trying to even get him on. Pause. I don't know what they're trying to charge him with. I'm kind of confused, to tell you the truth. It seems to me they want to charge him, but charging him, they have to be careful because there's so many important people connected to Diddy who could also be charged. And they're trying to find a way to charge Diddy by himself. And I think that's the issue. That's the issue. Just be one, Ashe, King Ashe to you, just be one. Mr. Branch says, I'm definitely feeling you because I'm definitely spiritual. Okay. And all about the soul and the internal way. Ashe, Misty. That's a good thing, right? Which means that in this particular lifetime, you are conscious and aware enough to possibly fully awaken in this particular lifetime, right? So I would definitely take advantage of that. And just to keep it simple, as I like to always do, is ascending and transcending. All that means is that you are pulling your soul into this dimension because it doesn't exist in this dimension. It's only connected to this dimension through the chakras. The chakras are each a portion of your, soul funneling in. And then and the portion that represents your spirit comes through the crown. That's the crown chakra. That's represents that part. But from there, you have to make a conscious effort to try to pull in the rest of your soul through the vortexes into this body. And to essentially replace this body. It's going to replace this body. Your solar body. Leah says abuse and trafficking, Ashe. Kidnapping, arson. He also gotten people killed. Ashe. Well, yeah. Okay, so these are the things they're trying to get him on. The problem, once again, is he obviously is not just this one-man show doing things by himself. Especially being a black man. I'm sorry, but black people can't just be doing all of these crimes and especially in the rapping as a rapper. You can't do all these crimes and nobody of any within the law knows about it, and nobody, affluence, like nobody knows people. So that's the thing. If he's participating and actually committing all these things, there are other people in powerful positions that have to also be complicit, and they're trying to find a way to get him by himself, right? Kind of like similar to the Epstein thing. They know Epstein's connected to all these people, but they're like, let's keep it, somehow they're going to keep it just Epstein, which is throwing these Epstein parties, Epstein Island, and nobody else was on the island, it's just him. He was doing it, for all of these big wigs. He had all these underage children, and all that. Okay, who are the other people? That doesn't matter. They're just people, It's all about Epstein, So, so yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Ariette says, hi from New Zealand. What are you educating us about in general? It's more like we're just having a conversation, just sharing ideas. Mostly about spiritual things. Misty Branch, prayers work miracles and faith of a mustard seed moves mountains. Yeah, prayers, prayers do sometimes work, quote unquote, miracles. Faith does sometimes move mountains. It's important to recognize that they do work, they can work, but they don't always work. Nothing is 100%. Nothing is 100%, right? You can call 911. That doesn't mean that they're actually going to come every time to the rescue. That's a good chance they might come, but there's a chance they might not, right? So it's just like anything. It's not 100% for certain that's what's going to happen, but your chances go up when you utilize it, right? Leah says, yeah, a lot of people deserve justice in the entire industry. Yeah, the industry is built on some very shady foundation. I think the industry is declining, which is a good thing, Ashe. Misty Brand says, you know the difference between the flesh and the spirit. Well, yeah, the flesh is just a biological robot, basically. This is just a biological flesh robot suit. That's what the flesh is. It's nothing. I mean, it is kind of special as far as it's a very intricate robotic vessel, but we can create robots with souls. That's definitely very possible when we've already have done it. Well, I don't know if we've already done that, but it's definitely doable. The issue though is that a metal robot cannot fully embrace the entire power of a soul. That soul will always be limited. In a flesh robot like this, we have the ability to embody the entire power of our soul. That's the difference between a biological robot like we have, this vessel, versus the metallic robots. Okay, Miss Misty said, I'm gonna say no, Ashe. Graffiti isn't blocked, Ashe. I said there is no crown on a spirit. There's only a song, Ashe. So obviously, it's an entire issue, right? Taking souls through the flesh. Leah says, but somebody needs to be blamed, so it's gonna be him or everybody. Yes, right. Yes, somebody got to get the blame. That's how it works, right? Somebody got to go down for it. So did he went to that island? Probably. Did he probably got the blueprint from Epstein? The Epstein parties turned into the Diddy parties. So they should all be arrested. Well, it's hard to arrest when those doing the arresting are participating in the same rituals, the same ordeal. So it's hard to arrest the guilty when the arresters are guilty as well. You gotta recognize there has to be a lot of willing, participating officers. There has to be. That's the only way it works. All trafficking, it has to be people in positions of the law participating. Judges, lawyers, government officials. Says, should he rat? I mean, that's up to him. Who leads to Robert Maxwell? Who's Robert Maxwell? I know John C. Maxwell. Peace to India. Misty, topics that you were talking about. I don't think that Diddy relates to your topics because he has nothing to do with the spirit or a song. He made decisions by actions of his flesh. Well, actually, anything dealing in entertainment, in Hollywood, is highly spiritual. It's all spiritually based. Hollywood is all spiritually based. Anything we're doing, TV, entertainment, all of that is highly spiritual based. So it's actually quite important to understand what's going on there with them, because they are participating in what is called spirit cooking. Diddy participates in it. A lot of other high-end people participate in it, right? Spirit cooking. So actually, it's very important. It's actually very relatable. It's all related. It's all related. Because it also lets you understand whatever's happening in entertainment. Lets you know what's happening amongst the masses, the groups. You get to see how the spiritual plane is transforming based off of what's being shown on the grand stage of entertainment. Brandon said, I had a miracle healing this time last year. Ashe, glory to God. Ashe, Brandon. Leah says people are trying to reverse it though and say he's innocent. There is no way he is. Ashe. Let's see. Graffiti says, crazy. I was definitely the first one to say Dublay's birthday number. Ashe, during the free card pool game. And my comment was blocked. It was blocked. Okay, I don't know what happened there. You know, that must, I guess it's something going on in another plane. Sent the screenshot and all. Okay, I'll show you to that. What's your opinion, says Graffiti, on hosting the energy and spirit of a god or goddess? What's my opinion? I mean, it as far as those who we call gods and goddesses, you know, yeah, that definitely happens a lot. Happens all the time. It's really just an ego of that we all have. So you know, you're a soul being, so understand that, right? There is no god or goddess that's more powerful than, you know, your soul. But from time to time, beings have been able to tap into, some beings have tapped into more of their soul than normal. And then they get to display, you know, we appreciate all of the roses from Snow Angel, Ashe, and all the gifts and stuff over there from TikTok. So when you're harboring more of your soul than normal, you're going to display these powers, these godlike powers. And then people will give names to those types of people. And then they get passed down, and what happens is that those names become spells, and essentially, or become egos. So it's easier to tap into more parts of your soul if you give it an ego, if you give it a name. It's easier to tap into. So when we come into this plane of existence, sometimes certain people, certain individuals tap into those egos. They tap into those egos, and then they start to display these god and goddess type of powers and energies. So that's all that, how that works, right? But you will be limited, you know, if you're, you know, pulling the energy of Shango, of Legba, of Thor, of Zeus, of, you know, Horus, of you know, Haru, of Isis. If you're pulling in these energies of Archangel Michael or Samuel or Gabriel or Moses or whatever, if you're pulling in the Buddha, of Ganesh, of Shiva, if you're pulling in these you know, energies, and you activate that aspect of yourself known as, you know, Thor or Shango, as powerful as you may be in that state, you become limited. You will be limited to just being, you know, the god of lightning, or the, you know, the god of telepathy or whatever, right? You will be limited. You will be limited. The idea is to look past that and go into your actual soul, where your abilities will be unlimited and where your ego will essentially melt away. You still have some form of an ego, but it's such a light form of an ego that it's and it's kind of a play on words because it is light. The soul is pure light. So, but it's such a light form of ego that it's almost as if you don't have one. So, Graffiti says I need to give a name to my draconic ego. Yeah, you should. You should, right? You know, my son, he has one. I've helped name his. Literally, he has a draconic or a dragon, you know, ego that I've helped to give him a name to assist him into tapping into that aspect of his soul. Shame. Misty Branch says, why were we even given those type of energies our acknowledgement? Well, see, here's the thing. There are a lot of there's a lot of light beings, a lot of light workers who want to ignore people like Diddy. They want to ignore the industries that people like Diddy participate in. And that's the problem, because we believe that if we just ignore it, it'll just not exist or it'll go away. And unfortunately, that's not how it works, right? The dark is the dark. It doesn't, see, just because you're not in the dark room doesn't mean that there's not a dark room. You're just not in it. You went to the light room. But that dark room is still over there, and they're still doing some Diddy things in there, right? So, and eventually it will come to light. Eventually you'll have to deal with it, you know, or you'll start noticing like, like people are missing, children are missing, but you just keep pretending it's not happening. It's happening. It's happening, and in fact, it can still happen to you. You know, it can still come get you. So it's about time we start acknowledging the Diddies of the world. It doesn't feel good, you know, but it allows us all to face our demons, our Diddy demons, so that we can actually transcend and ascend. See, what's making it hard for us as a planet to ascend and transcend is we're trying to ignore the Diddies. We're trying to ignore the drugs. We're trying to ignore the trafficking. We're trying to ignore it, and we're thinking that if we just ignore it, we'll just somehow ascend. Like, no, that's not the law of the universe. The laws of the universe is you have to face your demons. You have to face the dark. If you keep ignoring the dark over here, I don't care how much love and light you talk about, you will not go to the next level. You gotta face it. You gotta take it head on, pause, no Diddy, but you gotta be willing to conquer and defeat it. And understand it. Shank. Robert Shankson says, been an hour. You only got 13 people watching. Your BS fairy tale. Well, I mean, that's like what? We improved by 4 people. So I guess maybe the BS isn't so bad. But when you think about it, Robert Jenkins, there's billions of people that are wrapped up in the nonsense of the government, the nonsense of Hollywood, the nonsense of just, rappers. There's a lot of good rappers out there, but there's a lot of, bullshit rappers out there too. A lot of the nonsense of just musicians and the different artists and Instagram people and all the type of stuff, right? Especially tied to Hollywood, right? There's a lot of people, there's millions, there's billions of people tied up into some of the most diabolical, Hitler. There's people, singing songs about Hitler and praising Hitler, right? So when you think about it, Jenkins, Jesus, for instance, had a very small following. In the story, the way it's projected is that, he had a small following because he was speaking the truth. So in a sense, you might even say that if your following is small, especially if it's consistent of the same small group of people, that the message actually might be more true than those who have hundreds, thousands, millions, and even billions of followers and listeners. Ashe. So thank you for helping us with that insight, Robert Jenkins. Ashe. So we'll finish up the what Yemiya was saying about Gaia here, because let's see, monitoring spirits, right? So I was like, okay. So Yemiya wanted to tell us about Gaia, right? The Titan goddess of, well, she is the earth, right? So essentially Yemiya, who represents the waters, right, is trying to share us a message about the earth, what the earth, and the earth has something to do with monitoring spirits, hopes and dreams. So is it that, does Gaia have a collection? Okay, no, we had said, I pulled out the Queen of Clubs. So she's monitoring spirits, right? Okay, so what is the information that Gaia has claimed, has assessed, has filtered for us? Yemiya, what is this that she's filtered through these spirits? Yemiya. We got an Orisha card here, Ayao. It's the Orisha of wind, air, communication, embodying unseen forces to move between the realms. A sister of Oya, she carries the power of winds, bring messages of clarity and change. Okay, so something about change. Change. What is it that needs to be changed possibly here? Let's go over here. We got, where are you being called to, your journey to? Okay, so our journey, is that our journey? We're called to change. We're changing journey paths. Is our trajectory changing? Is that what it is? Yemiya and Gaia? No. Is it that it's we're almost at the end of the road? Maybe. No, it's not the end of the road. Is it about a new journey that's about to be started? Okay, we got the King of Clubs to go along with the Queen of Clubs. So a new journey is about to be started. Is this for the collective of the earth? Is it for a select few, maybe? So, and the King of Spades represents wisdom, the greatest wisdom out of all the cards. So a select few will be chosen, or I don't know if it's chosen, but few will be called or be able to go on this new journey. Okay, so now that we know it's a select few that Yemiya is saying, the message she got from Gaia. So has Gaia, okay, so the select few, who are the select few? Maybe that's the question we need to ask, right? What does this one say? Ace of Pentacles, right? Opportunity, prosperity, new financial ventures. Ace of Pentacles. Who are the select few? Ace. Ace always represents the initiated. So the initiated, okay. So the initiated are the select few. Ashe. How do you know if you're one of the select few? Feels like love. Your significant other feels a certain way and realizes they may be falling in love with you. So if you're one of the select few, I think it is what the saying is that you will attract love. You attract more love if you're one of the select few. Is that what's being said here? Yemiya and Gaia. No, that's not what's being said. Is it that you will feel the love from the earth? Maybe the love from the ancestors? No. Maybe you will feel the love within. Is that what it is? No, it's not what it is. Is it that that's all you will see? That's what you will experience is love, maybe. Is it that you will remember love? Okay, we got the Jack, so it says, yes, something about remembering love. You will remember love. It will come back to you, the memory of it. Ashe. So let's see if there's anything in the chat here. Pentacles is Earth. Yeah, we got a lot of diamonds and Earth energy here. Super Saiyan love. What is happening? A lot is happening. Super Saiyan. A lot is happening. So Master P says, back to Yemaya, please. Ashe. You need this message, or I need this message. Ashe. I see I'm going to be for an entire collective, like most people. I'm only going to speak to the few who are ready to take the necessary steps. Shay, right? Yes. And I think those that we choose to speak to, that we choose to connect to, should be out of love, not just out of love, just for people, but you should want to feel the love from them before you start to communicate with them. You want to feel it feels like love. It can be romantic love. It can just be a friendly, like connected associate type of love, or like we're just on the same wavelength type of love. But I think that's what it seems like they're trying to tell us. Yimian Gaia is trying to tell us that it's not just enough to be like-minded anymore, but you got to be heart-minded. You got to be like-hearted. Got to be like-hearted, right? You have to feel some sort of love energy coming from the other person, and that tells you who are the enlightened ones, who are the chosen ones. Do you feel love coming from them? Do you feel love being expressed, being shared by them? If you do, then those are the ones you want to connect with. If you don't, if you feel something else, then those are the ones that you don't want to give, so much. You don't want to give too much attention to. Now, here's the thing. Like I've experienced this. You may initially not feel the love energy, so then you essentially kind of ignore them. But if they start to feel the love energy later, be open to accepting that. Now they may not stay in that love energy. It's tough to stay in it. It's tough to stay in it. So understand, if they fall out of it, then, you know, do not take it personally. People are going to fall in and out of the love frequency. When they fall out of it, forgive them and just, you know, back away. And if they make their way back in it, then come back in it. And or enter back into interaction with them. See, Red Curve says, yo, what's good? What you talking about today? We're talking about a lot today. So let's finish it up here with what's the last thing that Yemi, Ya, and Gaia would like. Go ahead, or Didi. If you have a question, go ahead and drop your question in. But we'll go ahead and finish it up here on this pool. The last bit of guidance they would like the Yemiya and Gaia would like to share with us. Let's see. Let's pull one of these other cards. What card deck have I not pulled yet? I don't think I pulled that. I pulled this one with the numbers on it. I haven't. 1515. The Big Break. 1515. The Big Break. Innovation, focus, creation, progress, forward movement, skills and goals, and opportunity, help, extra cash or other support is coming your way. So keep going and have fun when performing your tasks. Most tremendous success comes from passion. All efforts will be rewarded big time. Ashe. So there it's just saying that to do the work, you must continue to do the work. But try to do the work from a place of enjoyment. Try to do the work from a place of enjoyment, of bliss, of peace. Because your rewards are coming in, but it will be hard to accept those rewards if you're in a constant state of anger or stress or sadness or depression or worry or hatred or those type of emotions. It'll be hard to really accept and understand and really digest those rewards, which will make it difficult for the rewards to energize you like they're supposed to. That's what rewards do. They energize you, and that energizing gives you the catapultation, if that's a word, into the next level of vibration. Ashe. So be on the lookout for love energy. So of love energy, and it's easier to find that love energy, to see it, to understand it, to recognize it if you're in a state of joy. Ashe. Sugar Free says, what can I do to help let this love flow? Well, I have what I'm going to say, and let's see if the cards give me something interesting to tell you, Graffiti. No. Okay, so from one aspect, but see, actually, when I first saw this, I saw ion, so that's what I saw. Ion, but I know that Double wouldn't write ion on here, but yet that's perspective, isn't it? Because here it's like no, but to me I saw ion, but I was like, why would she write ion? Because I know what ion means to me, therefore I'm going to go with ion, but I'm gonna go with no as well. So let's start with the no part. The no is saying no to people that are not in the love vibration. Saying no to the habits that you don't want to participate in anymore. Saying no to the situations, the people, the places that you, or even saying no to like your own ridiculousness, right? Now, it's also saying ion. What does it mean by ion? Ion means charge, to charge. Something is charged. So, in order to let this love flow, you must be charged. See, love, they say love and light for a reason. Love is light. You got to be charged with light. You got to be charged. That means you got to get the proper sunlight or the proper infrared lighting, the proper grounding or grounding mat or grounding on the earth, the proper, fresh air, proper exercise, the proper nutrition. You got to be charged. You got to charge yourself. If you're not charging yourself, then the love can't flow. The love can't flow. Graffiti says, I just got my allure oil as well. Ashe, I'm going to be working with Yemiano Oshun with that Ashe to that graffiti. Them boundaries will be a must. Ashe. But once again, as I say, don't put boundaries up. Boundaries are for like people really close to you. You got to put walls up. You put boundaries for people that are in the house. You got to put a house up to everybody else that's outside the house. So we need to start building houses. Build a house, put up walls. All right. Force people to what? To knock. If they want to get in, well, knock. I'll open the door. I'll talk to you. See what you're about. I might just talk to you through the ring cam. This is why I have never had an issue when it comes to women having the resting bitch face or having like an attitude, like or a standoffish energy. That's never bothered me because to me, I mean, it makes sense. Because to me, women are, you're in a space of can be easily taken advantage of physically, especially physically. Really, like the physical part is the part that stands out the most, right? You can take advantage of physical, so it's like I get it. So it's never bothered me. It's never bothered me. So that's a wall. So when I see women with these walls they put up before you try to go talk to them and they put these walls up, to me it makes sense. You should have a wall up. You should force me as a man or woman, you should force me to knock first. Right? But men should do the same thing. Put up these walls and let people knock. Let them convince you whether or not I should open the door. And then let them convince you whether or not I should even invite you in. Not sure. Said borders, right? Borders, that's next level. That's next level right there. Not sure. Let me finish it up here with Trench Life cards. I get my revelation and discernment and prophecy from the Most High. It's always accurate. Okay. I don't know what that. Okay. Well, I don't know what you're trying to say. What's this called that you're doing? I'm just talking. Okay, I'm not here as usual. Okay, Trench Life. Oh yeah, this guy is a reprobate. I don't know what that is. He won't even answer me. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get to you in the time that you wanted to, Trench Life, but I'm here now. Understandable, he's being led by some spirit because my message are getting overlooked. No, it's not getting overlooked. I just didn't get to it. I was in just the middle of my monologue, that's all. I just had to finish my statement. Thought you were overlooking my messages. No, it's just, it's answering questions and giving my input, and then, I get to whoever is in the chat after that, But, yeah, I'm glad that you get your messages from the Most High, right, and I try to do the same. I try to do the same through whatever tools that the Most High would like to use. I don't really use cards too often anymore. I used to use them a lot. I don't use them too often anymore. They're not really necessary for me personally. But there are those people who do enjoy and do find a connection with the cards. So, I was asked and given a love offering to do the cards. So that's what I did. Shame. Lisa says, reprobate means help. Corrupted, okay. Corrupted mind. Means help, corrupted mind. Beyond help. Oh, it means beyond help or corrupted mind. Reprobate. Reprobate. Reprobate? I think that's how you say it. Reprobate. That's a new word for everyone to remember, write down, jot it down. Trench Life says, but I know this is random, and I hope you follow and keep this word because we're at the beginning of the end. There are more storms coming. You said correctly, Ashe. The beginning of the end, depending on your perspective, we're always at the beginning of the end, right? The question really comes is how long is the beginning? How long is the end? How long is the whole thing? And because nobody really knows how long the end is or how long the beginning of the end is, it's safe to always say we're always in the beginning of the end until you're in the actual end. Then that's the only way you'll know when you're no longer in that. So I definitely I can agree with what you're saying there. Ashe. So I think we got to everybody, to all those that were in the chat and those who, I may have passed up. I think I got back to all of them. So we'll go ahead and say Ashe, Asante, and Amen. Ime Kamalika, it is done here at 11:22, and we'll see you tomorrow. Ashe.